Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and out, backstage rumors, dramas, all the behind the curtain stuff. We also talk about superstar contract obligations and updates and negotiations amongst promotions like WWE, AEW, GCW, NWA, New Japan Professional Wrestling. Basically, if it makes headline news in the world of wrestling, it's here on this show. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We have a pretty awesome show jam-packed for you today. But before we get into that, today is a Wednesday. Hope you guys had a great Wednesday. Middle of the week is all, it's always good. Next tomorrow's Thursday Night Football. Hope you guys are, kind of pumped up for that. Who's playing? Damn it. The Dolphins and I can't believe I can't remember. But I guess, I guess it's supposed to be a good game. So it's going to be interesting to find out, if the Dolphins, can prove what happened on Sunday wasn't a fluke at all. But, only time will tell. But anyways, so we got a pretty awesome wrestling show for you today, guys. We have our WWE NXT review. Then we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. And then we're going to talk about 9/11. Obviously, today, 13 years ago, tragedy struck in New York, the World Trade Centers, the flights and the Pentagon and all that. Just a very heartbreaking day overall, for the average day in the life of an American that day. It was, pretty shocking. I remember I was 9 years old. And it was moving stuff. It was crazy. It was sad. Obviously, prayers and thoughts and condolences still to the families of people, victims, the first responders, and basically everybody involved. So we're gonna get into how there was a WWE Smackdown that aired 2 days after, and it was like absolutely, it wasn't. A lot of people thought WWE would have never kind of pulled it off. But overall, we'll get into it. We'll get into it later. It's still kind of, still when you talk about it, it still kind of, strikes you a little bit. But our fourth segment, we're going to talk about AEW possibly going to Fox. WWE's, they just had their final episode on SmackDown on Fox. So, now SmackDown's going to the USA Network. Then on our fifth and final segment, every Wednesday we do it. We have my Wednesdays weekly wrestling news. We talk about all the major breaking news in terms of professional wrestling. So let's get on into that. But before we do, I want to remind you guys to hit up that super chat, whether if you've got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you're dying to get off your chest. Remember, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are absolutely all ears all the time. The show is all about keeping the conversation lively, keeping the party going, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy and drop those thoughts and questions inside the chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? It's that $ below that chat box right there. And send in your message. It's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support us, the GSMC Sports Network, and bring you even more awesome sports content. We are absolutely, first and foremost, thank you guys for everything. We are so grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going. Make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever with your guys' support and interaction. And if the super chat, is not your thing, you can always hit up the gsmcpodcast.net, hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, concerns. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your opinions in terms of professional wrestling. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. But overall, feedback is a gift. So, remember just to, send us your feelings. Superman punch that. Like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show and follow the network. All right. So we're going to get on into some WWE NXT talk. First, we're going to start off with the tag team championship match. Nathan Fraser and Axiom, the supersonic duo. I'm not pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it. But anyways, they fought the Street Profits. Obviously, it was revealed later on in NXT why exactly Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz couldn't go for their much-deserved title shot. It was because Wesley, had something to do with it. Darn you, Wesley, to destroy an instant classic. But this match was actually an instant classic, and it was destroyed by outside interference. The Bloodline showed up with, Jacob Fatu, Tungaloa, Tamatonga, and to be honest, I thought it was a great fast-paced athletic match. It was kind of a shame to see interrupted. I honestly, what's the Bloodline's business inside NXT? I'm not too sure, but overall, I thought for a second it was a little bit of a bad spot. Like I get it. I get the fact that you're trying to show fans that these guys are the ultimate, badasses and these guys are gonna be like, running their own show. WWE belongs to the bloodline, so to speak. But I don't know. There's just the way the match was going, I would have loved to see that match kind of end cleanly. Would love to see these two teams go at it once again. But moving on, we have Chelsea Green taking on the debuting Julia from superstardom, from New Japan Professional Wrestling. So all in all, it was a pretty impressive chat. I gotta be honest, 1,010%. Chelsea Green has kind of been, it's kind of been changed to a glorified jobber. She still put up a decent match. She was fighting back, and it was. I felt kind of bad for Chelsea all in all, but she did show some spots where she was able to, stay vigilant. She was able to participate in the match. She was able to hit some spots and show, you know, kind of the WWE universe that, still she lost. Yeah, she did lose in Julia's debut, but overall, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I got a chat right here from Little Fettuccine 68. Is The Rock showing up on Friday? I think he is. I think he is. The Rock is kind of going to be. The Rock and Roman Reigns are going to stay on SmackDown. We're going to get into that actually in my wrestling news roundup. But definitely he's going to be, SmackDown was his show. Overall, like I feel like they created SmackDown like The Rock, started, laying the SmackDown on your candy, on your jabronis. So I thought overall, having him as like the main star in SmackDown, he was there for the first episode when when they debuted on Fox. So, I think he's going to be there. I really honestly think so. Maybe he finds a way to help Solo Sikoa defeat Cody Rhodes. Maybe that's a big ass maybe, but I don't know. I think that'd be actually pretty cool. Next, we have the Heritage Cup Championship match. We got Charlie Dempsey of the Quarter Catch Crew taking on that boy Bouncy, Javon Evans, the young OG. In the first round, the first pin was by Dempsey in the second round. Javon Evans in the third round got his first pin. So we had 1-1, and then of course something had to happen. Tavion Heights comes back from Japan, and he ultimately just destroys Javon Evans' chance of being Heritage Cup champion. It was a little depressing. I kind of, I knew he wasn't going to win. I knew Javon Evans wasn't going to win, but overall, I thought maybe it could have been, better spot. Obviously, now you kind of have the no quarter catch crew in full swing, especially after the departure of Drew Gulak. I kind of thought that the no quarter catch crew was kind of DOA. But, it shows that Sean likes him around. They were a pretty good team, Um, but I don't know. It should be pretty interesting to find out who's going to challenge for the cup next. I would like to see like a TNA superstar do it, but that's just me. Oba Femi had a mystery opponent, and it was the TNA's Hammerstone. This guy came out looking absolutely jacked. He was paid by Tony D'Angelo to kind of take care of the Oba Femi problem of the family, but to no avail. Right now, the NXT North American champion Oba Femi is definitely one of the best wrestlers in WWE. I mean, SmackDown, Raw, even on TNA. I'm just kidding. No, well, yeah, you know what? He's great. He's great. He hasn't really been showing signs of slowing down, losing that North American Championship. I personally think he is going to beat Wesley's reign, which would be actually pretty cool. But a lot of people see him going to Monday Night Raw. A lot of people see him making the jump to SmackDown to a bigger brand. I'm kind of, there's there's been a lot of rumors stating that there's going to be a WWE draft that's happening. That's going to happen before, obviously, Netflix steals Monday Night Raw from Fox. I'm just kidding. No, Netflix steals, Raw, and USA Network takes SmackDown. And I think overall it should be well, new drafted again, especially with Netflix. I was talking about how it's going to be on my news segment and my fifth segment. But WWE is currently going to pull The Rock and Roman Reigns from Netflix. They're not going to be on Monday Night Raw. And that's kind of a big deal. I feel like Netflix felt comfortable, like I've kind of mentioned on this show before, like you're kind of getting, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you're getting a free not free, because obviously you do have that contract with WWE, but you don't really have to pay from an outside source like, oh, The Rock is starring in a brand new TV series, and oh my God, Netflix would love to have it. So essentially you get WWE, and for a bonus, you get The Rock, and then you get Roman Reigns as well. So, obviously, that's going to, I don't know if that's going to affect their dealio moving forward, but, I think up until they finish their plans with WrestleMania 41, and then that's probably when you're going to see the jump onto Monday Night Raw by The Rock and Roman Reigns. But okay, and moving on, Rich Holland easily, defeating Duke Hudson. Rich Holland dominated the match, made a statement after the match, and completely killing Chase U. But a little small spotlight on my girl Thea Hale. She looked absolutely brokenhearted, and the way she was like inside, the way she was like, her acting skills is immaculate, man. Can you see this girl go to Hollywood? Maybe. Like, I don't know. She looked devastated. Like, it was so real. I was like, dude, that's because when you watch as a wrestling fan, obviously, you know the tea and all that, and you're just watching, you're like, damn, that's actually, pretty believable. You know what I mean? Pretty believable. Moving on, we got Jordynne Grace's open challenge. Gotta be honest, I was not expecting Sol Ruca. I would have rather seen, and I love Sol Ruca. I think she's an amazing superstar, very talented. Inside the ring, she's on her cues all the time. She does the right moves. She protects her opponents, but at the same time, propels them and makes them look good based on her own performance. So I do love Sol Ruca. I kind of thought she was going to be the inaugural NXT Women's North American Champion. Obviously, Keilani Jordan's doing a fantastic job of that as well. So, not really, no one's losing in that kind of matter. But Jada Parker, now, she's Fatal Influence. She needs Lola Vice. That's going to kind of consume their storylines for a little bit. So I guess in a way, the thing that did make sense was Sol Ruca. I personally thought maybe Natalya was going to, jump ship to NXT and kind of come in a little bit. She, last TNA on Thursday, she did face Carmen Petrovic, who was trained by Natalya. Well, according to kayfabe, it could be true. Maybe it could be true. Don't quote me on that, but fact check that. Anyways, The Miz also is set to be on NXT on October 1st. So that should be kind of cool. Rosemary and Wendy Chu interrupted the match between Jordynne Grace and Sol Ruca. Kind of crazy, but we all kind of saw that coming. You saw a promo with Tatum Paxley and Lyra Valkyria with Tatum playing with dolls, and I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was, I don't know. I love Lyra Valkyria, how serious she is, and I love how dorky and how, weird this whole Tatum Paxley angle is, going. So I like that. Lastly, we have the last man standing match. Last man standing match, Trick Williams defeats Pete Dunne in dramatic fashion. He came up from the count while backflipping All Ego Ethan Page, the NXT World Heavyweight Champion, through the announce table. I thought that was pretty cool. They got a holy, they got a chant like that, which is always great to get the WWE Universe into that. So whenever you have that, you get a pretty good last man standing match. For me, I feel like, I'm a huge Attitude Era kind of guy. I feel like maybe they took a little too long to initiate and to kind of, include weapons or introduce weapons inside the match. But overall, they did. And I thought Trick did a really good job. I loved what Pete was doing. I loved how he's a great wrestler. 1010%. I feel like he still does have a high, performance check that he could possibly be in NXT, maybe in the United States champion or the Intercontinental champion. But overall, it was a great NXT. It was very, the built up when it first started, I was like, dude, this is crazy, because it did feature some championship matches. Kind of felt like a small PLE, but to be honest, I feel like NXT does that very, very well. Including title matches on a week to week basis, making every week seem like a must watch. So yeah. All right, next we're gonna get into AEW Dynamite. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. AEW Dynamite segment is coming your way, so do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna
be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit, I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant, I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez here, your favorite wrestling fan, your wrestling guru. Every Monday through Friday on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. Let's kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We talked about our WWE NXT review, and now we're going to talk about some AEW Dynamite preview that's happening right now. Can't wait to watch it. I have it recorded right now. Can't wait to get into that. But before we do any of that, just want to remind you guys to hit up that super chat. Whether if you got a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or something you want to get off your chest, this show is all about keeping the conversation going, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So do not be shy. Drop those thoughts, opinions, and questions inside the chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use that super chat. Hit that $ below the chat box. Sending your message is guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support the GSMC Sports Network. Keep all this awesome sports content coming your way on a daily basis. We are absolutely so grateful for each and every one of you guys who tune in daily. To all the shows, all the great podcasters we have here on the network. So let's keep these conversations going. Let's put in those super chats, hit up those super stickers because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. But, if you're not too keen on the super chat, you can always hit up the gsmcpodcast.net, hit up the tips and donations link. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your opinions. Superman punched out. Like and subscribe on to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But if you have some criticisms, of course, feedback is a gift. So, don't be keep it the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you will never, ever, 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 ever regret subscribing to such an amazing sports network who love the fans, always want to give you guys 1,010% of awesome content. All right, so it's Wednesday. You know what that means. AEW Dynamite is live in Lexington, Kentucky, I believe. Don't quote me on that. So we have a huge Dynamite. Obviously this is the fallout of All Out. The fallout of All Out. I like that. That's kind of crazy. So there's definitely going to be a lot of. I guess there's a special Collision taping tonight as well. So Jon Moxley is going to be live. Recently, AEW has been dealing with a lot of scrutiny, claiming that their programming is a little too violent. And it's not like it's not violent, but they know exactly what they're doing. They know how far they can push those boundaries. But, even on Twitter, All Elite Wrestling, due to the graphic nature on the attack to Bryan Danielson, we are unable to share this footage. AEW does not condone such actions. So maybe this girl, having this petition or this former AEW fan because they want AEW off the map, maybe they are kind of making waves. That's kind of crazy. I didn't think that, it was going to be all that much of a lashback, but I'm not saying AEW is going to be like, okay, now we kind of have to be on our best behavior, but I don't know. It should be pretty crazy. Obviously, we're going to see Jon Moxley explain the attack. Claudio Castagnoli and the Bastard Pack also are going to be on tonight's AEW Dynamite. I'm interested to find out as well. Wheeler Yuta was, kind of left out of the mix. Blackpool Combat Club is out. It's over. It's all over. And Jon Moxley wants a shot at that AEW World Heavyweight Championship. I don't know. Tony Khan's going to give it to him. Maybe perhaps you see Moxley dethrone Bryan Danielson. But kind of like what I was mentioning before, Bryan Danielson, he's due for neck surgery at the end of this year. I think he's going to relinquish the title. He's going to end out on top. He's going to face AEW's greatest wrestlers that they have on the promotion, and he's going to go out on such a high note, and he deserves it. Throughout his whole tenure with AEW, ever since he signed, Tony Khan wanted to put the belt on him. He said no, promote these other guys because he knew that his career is short. He knows that he's not going to be around professional wrestling as a full time wrestler all that much. As a part-time wrestler on AEW, Bryan Danielson can do it 1,010%. But you see Swerve when he was the champion. He'd fight on a weekly basis sometimes on Collision for his title. Same with Samoa Joe, MJF. And I feel like Bryan Danielson. Ultimately, these are his boys. They're coworkers. It's a wrestling cohesion. These guys are family. They go on the road together, 365 days of the year. I wouldn't want to do that to my, coworker as well. You know what I mean? Especially if I'm going on neck surgery. I'm like, you know what? When I come back, I kind of just want to be a part timer. I don't want to take away anything from you guys because you guys work so damn hard, and I want to hear half the time. And you guys are here the full time. Maybe not even half the time. Maybe like 25 or 35% of the time. But I get this. Kind of get this feud going a little bit. I kind of like it. Former friends. Obviously, they knew each other from WWE, but it should be pretty cool. Next, we have an eliminator match. We have Mariah May taking on Queen Aminata. This match is going to be definitely a sleeper, one of the best matches tonight. Queen Aminata was literally seconds away. She was just like a good hardcore move away from becoming, the new Ring of Honor World Women's Heavyweight Champion, dethroning, the dominant Athena. I think this match is going to be great. I think this match is, set to be an instant classic. Mariah May on, all out, kind of, defeating, oh God, who was that girl? Sheeta? No, not Sheeta. I think that was who, damn it, I can't think of it right now. But she's a great champion. So far, I was kind of skeptical because Toni Storm was amazing as the women's champion. But Mariah May seems like she's doing her due diligence and she's pulling justice, being a contender in the women's division. She's, obviously the face of the Mariah May. But honestly, can the Queen do it? Can she earn the women's title shot tonight? Should be pretty awesome. I can't wait to see that against the Glamour, who currently reigns supreme on AEW. Next, we have a tag team casino gauntlet. The winner, obviously, going to take on the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks. Putting them on, making, it'd be kind of cool to see Will Ospreay team up with Ricochet. That'd be pretty interesting tag team to go. The next people in line, I don't honestly know who would be rightful people in line. Maybe Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin make their debut tonight. That would be a bombshell. That'd be crazy. Maybe Eric's a little crazy, but I think that'd be pretty cool. Before you're going to see probably Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy team up. You're going to see a lot of tag teams. The Acclaimed. To be honest, I'm kind of tired of the Acclaimed. I respect them. Maybe the Bang Bang Gang as well. Private Party. It's the Learning Tree. I don't think that any of those teams are going to win it. I think it's going to be someone who could seriously dethrone Matthew Nicholas Jackson of those World Tag Team titles. So I feel like this is going to be a great match. Definitely going to be pretty sick. It's going to be pretty sick. All right, next we have a TNT Championship match. We have the Scapegoat Jack Perry taking on Lio Rush. To be honest, I kind of feel like Jack Perry's going to come out the winner. He did have, he gave it all he got. He gave it all he got against the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Bryan Danielson. Definitely think, you know what? I kind of want to issue an apology. I always kind of thought Jack Perry was kind of a punk, and sometimes you can be a little, conceited, a little cocky, a little self-centered and arrogant. But this guy does put on good matches. Sometimes I'm like, dude, why are they giving the belt to him? Or why is this guy smashing TVs in a promo? And then all of a sudden a Taco Bell commercial comes. I'm just kidding. No. Why is he fighting for the world championship? This guy's trash. But he's not. He's not. The Scapegoat's the way that they're handling Jack Perry right now, I feel like is actually pretty cool. There's no doubt in my mind he's gonna defeat Lio Rush tonight. Kind of just like a nice little reassurance match showing the AEW universe that this guy still can throw hands and he's made to be taken seriously. Next, we have a one-on-one match. We had the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions Sammy Guevara taking on Ricochet. So, that kind of puts my idea about Ricochet being in this tag team Casino Gauntlet match away. Um, you know, should be interesting to find out maybe if Dustin Rhodes and the other guy from the Trios Championship, maybe they find a way to kind of jump on into this match. I got a chat from my boy Anthony Manzano. Is it possible that Shane McMahon is the mastermind behind the purveyors of violence, the new stable with Jon Moxley, and Shane just hasn't debuted yet? That's a good question. That's a very good question. I could definitely see that. I can definitely see why, you'd be thinking something like that. Obviously, Shane McMahon, he wanted to come back to WWE. He was doing that WWE Underground, introducing kind of like an underground fight club, kind of having WWE kind of push the boundary of kind of like the Attitude Era. And I feel like if AEW, continues pushing the boundaries of violence, Shane McMahon is not afraid to take a bump. You've seen him jump off of Hell in the Cell, jumping off the decal of the stage of the pay-per-view onto like seeing him being thrown through the glass at King of the Ring. He's a badass, and he could definitely 1,010%. I can see how he would love to kind of go with that angle of being like hardcore. Jon Moxley, Shane McMahon. I feel like it's possible. I feel like it's possible 1,010%, especially with this new deal that AEW has upcoming with the Warner Brothers Discovery and the new rumored around that Fox might Fox might be investing in some AEW stock. So it should be I feel like it could be. It's a heavy it's possible. It's possible. It could be 1,010% possible. It's actually a very good point. I love that. That's awesome. But yeah, tonight on Dynamite, what else do we have to talk about? Now we have a pretty good Dynamite loaded up for you guys tonight. I can't wait to find out what Jon Moxley has to say. I can't wait. It'd be crazy if Shane McMahon debuted tonight. That would be insane. Crazy to see this. What happened with MJF. Obviously, you kind of had the guy he faced at All Out, Daniel Garcia. Damn it, why am I blanking on names today? Damn it. Uh, but I'm interested to find out what's next for Will Ospreay. Obviously, what's going to happen with Darby Allin. He has a championship match coming up too. I don't think Swerve Strickland's going to be at Dynamite tonight. He got pretty messed up. Hangman Adam Page as well. I think a couple of these guys you're probably not going to see on Dynamite tonight. Well, not see them probably in a match, but you do have their next pay-per-view coming up right around the corner. So, should be pretty awesome. I got another chat from my man. Where do you think this storyline between him and Darby ends up going to talk about Jon Moxley doing things to convince Darby join Moxley? That could possibly be it. And he looked, Tony Giovanni straight in the face, and he was talking about Darby. He was going to call out Darby Allin. Obviously, he did. He left a lot of poked holes, which in wrestling, usually leads to just something absolutely shocking. Like you said, like maybe Shane McMahon makes his way into AEW finally after all the rumors, after him meeting up with Tony Khan. Tony Khan basically saying, hey, honestly, we would love Shane, in the boardroom, the creative room. We would love to see him inside the ring. This is kind of like a dream job for Shane McMahon. I could see, him definitely taking a small contract, just to kind of, help Tony Khan make this, wrestling promotion, better than it already is. But that would be a pretty interesting storyline. Maybe see Darby Allin kind of turn heel. I know I read a story saying that, possibly Ricochet turns heel as well, but I don't think he would really have anything to do with Jon Moxley. Darby Allin, possibly turning heel, that would be pretty crazy, because he's loved by the fans so damn much. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. Obviously, can't wait to watch Dynamite tonight. Can't wait to see what's going to happen tonight on a fresh episode of A Batch of Dynamite. All right, guys. So hey, do not go anywhere. In our third segment, we're going to talk about WWE Smackdown after the 9/11 attacks. Obviously, the nation was scared. a lot of sports things closed, and the only thing that kind of popped up first was WWE. So we're going to dig into how WWE tributed to they did a tribute to 9/11 and how it still affects WWE and just the world overall to this day. So hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. We are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage news, dramas. Also, we talk about superstar injury updates, inactivity statuses, also contract negotiations between every promotion from AEW to WWE to NWA to New Japan Professional Wrestling to Stardom to the GCW. If it makes major wrestling world headline news, we talk about it here on the show. So let's talk about the WWE after 9/11. We're going to talk about that, a little bit about the show and what it meant for, just heartbroken Americans. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys that we have a burning question or hot take in terms of professional wrestling. Just go ahead and send in that super chat. We are absolutely all ears, 1,010%. Make sure your voice is heard and make sure it's part of the mix. So don't be shy. You're also really grateful for each and every one of you guys. Send in the comment or the question. Hit up that super chat, hit up that super sticker, because you guys are super awesome. It's the $ below the chat box. And your support, obviously makes all the difference, guys. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do, pride ourselves on making you guys, happy, satisfied. So, join us here. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, keep the party going. Send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And if the super chat is not your thing, hit up the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, concerns. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Make sure you Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But if you have something, constructive criticism is good as well. Feedback is a gift. We love you guys. So yeah, don't be shy and definitely hit up those chats. All right, so now we're gonna dig on into my third segment. We're gonna talk about the WWE Smackdown after 9/11. So guys, 13 years ago today, kind of crazy day. I remember waking up for school. I remember everything. It was crazy. I was in second grade. I remember TVs on inside the classrooms. It was kind of like a free day for all the kids. Obviously, the kids didn't really understand what was going on. Me, for one, I didn't understand. All I just remembered was seeing my teachers just crying and, basically watching murder on live TV kind of happen. After the first tower was struck, and then you saw the second one being struck, and you saw the thing that happened in the Pentagon, and you saw the flight that was, I think, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that was going down, and people lost their lives, and it was just crazy. It was just, it made, it definitely shook the world. It shook all the world, especially, the world of sports, which, kind of want to talk, terrorism, and tragedy dominated the media landscape in the aftermath of 9/11. WWE, along with sports, provided the nation kind of a beacon, of hope. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't all that much. And I know at the end of the day, it was professional wrestling, but they did a live edition of WWE Smackdown. And it was very kind of, ballsy of Vince McMahon to kind of put on a show after everything when everybody just kind of wanted to, kind of stay home with their families, mostly wanted to, mostly, kind of just wanted to spend time with loved ones because with the threat, obviously the threat of war lingering in every American's eyes, and then like later on, then you had that anthrax scare inside like the mail and stuff like that. It was just bomb scares everywhere. You never really felt safe. You kind of, thought your town was next to be attacked, and it was kind of heartbroken. And, it was kind of crazy. It was kind of crazy. All of a sudden, like it made United States and American citizens kind of you realize that the USA, wasn't the safest place anymore. It wasn't the most protected country. In fact, at this time, it was one of the most vulnerable. And during everything that was happening in WWE, obviously in the midst of the Attitude Era was in full swing. Also, the Invasion Era was happening as well, and it was crazy. Like it was insane. It was definitely insane. And then on that morning, on a Tuesday, September 11th, you know, you saw, like I said, you just before your very eyes, and it was just, oh my God. But every single channel you turned on, during, even after, it was just, it was just heartbreaking. It was, it was very somber. It was very melancholy. It was bad. It was one of the saddest day, obvious. Well, I can imagine, it probably was the saddest day on, in America. It was kind of crazy. You know, um, the morning of September 11th, a plane struck the World Trade Center, the Pentagon. Of course, that flight went down. 3,000 lives were lost in this deadly attack on U.S. soil. And, everybody in America, Americans were nervous. Everybody was nervous. Sports were postponed from the NFL's week 2, was postponed a whole week. College football, baseball, not basketball. I don't think, no, basketball wasn't on during that time. But everything, the world froze. The world froze, and Vince McMahon wanted kind of wanted to fight back. This was kind of like his way of, kind of fighting back against all the negativity that was out, all the horrific news media, streams that were just, showing how we were being attacked, an act of terrorism and terrorism, on U.S. soil. And, it was kind of crazy. And it was a tragedy. Vince McMahon also, he commented on the fact that he saw the way George Bush addressed, the nation after the attack. And I don't know, it was kind of crazy. Even the security was a huge concern in that arena that they were in Houston, Texas. They had double the security. Usually the wrestlers were able to kind of walk in and be like, "Oh, you noticed me," but they were able to, they were checked twice. It was crazy. It was a very crazy, dark, nervous time to kind of be an American. It was scary, very, very scary. Even Edge, the Hall of Famer, said that everybody should have been with their families at this time. But it was kind of crazy, Vince. But overall, the wrestlers knew exactly what was happening. They knew exactly what was happening. This episode was, the first public gathering of any sports after the attack. WWE was the first one to do it, and they got credit for it. It was crazy. you know, um, bringing people together, bringing a sense of like community. And, Vince McMahon started out the show talking about the spirit of America. We will not live our lives in fear. WWE stood together, breaking kayfabe. At this point, nobody cared about, storylines. Lillian Garcia sang the national anthem. It was crazy. It was crazy. WWE stars, the people in the audience, people watching in the arena, watching at home, everybody who was basically an American had tears in their eyes from this very moving Star Spangled Banner by one of the best, WWE announcers, in history. So, definitely thought that was pretty cool. Lillian Garcia, who absolutely nailed it. It was great. It was great. 1,010%. WWE, stood tall with Americans that day as they showed the nation kind of like a sense of unity. You know what I mean? And obviously there was a lot of, superstar, videos. A lot of people claim that, WWE saw a lot of how the crowd felt about certain heel characters like John Bradshaw Layfield, who was a huge heel, but he gave a kick-ass speech in his interview talking about his thoughts on 9/11. Ultimately was kind of propelled him to superstardom. He came out and fans were cheering. Like I said, at that point, not a lot of storylines were going down. Kayfabe was broken. all the, WWE is a family. Like I was talking about AEW, these guys, travel on planes together, and imagine just the families of these wrestlers, knowing that they're going to have to fly back. A lot of airlines closed. I remember LAX wasn't out. They were closed. They were on high red alert, and it was, it was very scary. It was very scary. I remember, I was at home. I remember, looking up in the sky, looking at the airplane, and there was, and then after it's 9/11, there was no airplanes. No airplanes. The streets were, kind of bare. Everybody was literally kind of staying at home because they were scared. It was, I remember the 4th of July that year too. It was, I feel like it was on steroids. And then, a couple short months later, something like that had to happen. And it was very, it was a tragedy, and it was, absolutely crazy, absolutely unprecedented. It was, Kurt Angle's speech also was one of the, speeches that was noticed as well. Talking about, and he was featured in the main event. He took on in Rhino in the main event. He was the American hero. He's someone who fought in the Olympics representing the country with a broken freaking neck. With a broken freaking neck, the 3 eyes, intelligence, integrity, and intensity. So, basically, Kurt Angle gave a heartfelt speech of saying that the real, true American heroes right now are obviously the first responders, firefighters, police officers, basically, EMTs, everybody involved in, people trying to help out, what was going on in 9/11. Kurt Angle even said, him going out there and wrestling in front of everybody in, Houston that night was one of the proudest moments of his life to kind of, try to help all the victims. Well, not, well, to kind of help all the victims, all the people just watching in awe, kind of help them, take their mind off of things a little bit. Even Robert Ory, the NBA player, NBA legend, I think he's a legend. Even he was at the event saying that it was nice. It was truly something that a lot of people needed to see, truly a lot of things that people needed to watch. And, people stood together. People stood together in unity, obviously, you know, in support of these people who, totally, totally lost their lives that day. Not even talking about people who actually passed away, like family members who lost just, oh man, it was crazy. It was crazy. I remember, the World Series actually happened that day as well. Well, not that day, but like a couple, like it was a week later, then you had George Bush throwing out the first pitch to the Arizona Diamondbacks game and the New York Yankees for the World Series, which was kind of cool. I remember, I remember the NFL, the Super Bowl halftime performance. It was U2, and they gave such a huge, moving halftime performance with oh my God, I remember there was a big screen with all the names of all the victims who died. Kind of running through, kind of rolling in the back. Oh my God, it was sad. And I was like, I was like 9 years old. I didn't know what was exactly going on, but it was just, so moving. It was, so intense that, although I didn't really understand it, I was like, dude, it's kind of scary. Insane, definitely insane. After the match, well, after, WWE Smackdown went off the air, the crowd, I think they wanted to see more, and WWE gave them one of the best matches, definitely one of the best feuds in WWE history, The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, where they kind of went out there. The Rock spoke to Steve Austin before they went out through the curtain, saying that let's entertain the hell out of these people. Everybody right now is depressed, they're sad, they're scared, they're very nervous. They're uncertain of their future. Like I said, a lot of people don't really see a lot of crazy attacks on the United States, and this attack on 9/11 was the worst that happened on U.S. soil. And a lot of people, it was just nerve-wracking. It was nerve-wracking, but the match was very good, very very good. It was kind of crazy that they brought back that feud. I thought it was the right thing to do. I thought it was great. But overall, even after 2 decades, we're talking about it today. Obviously, want to give my thoughts and prayers and condolences and, support to anybody who was affected by 9/11. The world remembers the honor, and we honor those who were lost. And, the feeling of loss remains, but so does the memory of what, like I said, it was wrestling and it was sports. What WWE tried to do in their own way kind of helped begin the healing process for a lot of people who were afraid to turn on the TVs. I remember my mother was afraid to turn on the TV because, like, what's going to be on? even not even on Fox or NBC or major news network, everywhere was covering it, absolutely everywhere. And yeah, it was definitely a dark and crazy time to be an American that time. But definitely kind of crazy. We eventually kind of did go off to war in Afghanistan, and that's when they started doing tribute to the troops right there in 2003, with 2 years later. So I thought that was kind of crazy, kind of cool to do that for the the people putting their lives on the line for us to live a normal life here in the country. All right, so I got through that without crying, so that's good. Yeah, I'm just kidding. But moving on, we're next going to talk about AEW possibly going to Fox. Tony Khan has been rumored to have been in talks with Fox, bringing the promotion. The whole Shockwave trademark. Got people's creative minds flowing. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had my WWE NXT review, or AEW Dynamite preview. Then we talked about the WWE Smackdown airing right after, 2 days after 9/11 was the first kind of sports entertainment thing to come back after the NFL, backed out, and the college football, put it on pause and postponed games. WWE was the first. That's I thought, overall it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool what WWE was trying to do for all the, downtrodden, all the heartbroken, people who were, basically all of Americans, you know what I mean? Like, but those who, were really, that were affected by 9/11. So yeah, now we're gonna talk about AEW going to Fox. It's a rumor. It's a rumor, but it's something I feel like we should definitely 1,010%, kind of talk about on the show tonight. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's kind of do it. So guys, Tony Khan, talked about AEW going to Fox, and it seems kind of crazy, but once when he was talked about, making, AEW prominent in basically everywhere around the world. He talked about how the AEW compared to the AFL when they first started out. They were a small company, but they kind of built themselves up and eventually merged with the NFL to create the Super Bowl. Starting in 2019, AEW has been very successful in this modern age of professional wrestling. Definitely agree with that 1,010%. AEW president Tony Khan reflected on the company's rapid growth, describing it as an unprecedented success story similar to, like I said, the merger between the AFL and the NFL, which, it's kind of a push. Kind of a push. I'm just kidding. No, no, no. Self brag, self brag, self brag. But no, like Tony Khan, I like him. I like him as an owner. I think he literally cares about his superstars. He cares about, their well-being and their safety. He lets them take time off to be with family members. And you have a lot of superstars to kind of spread over 3 shows. You have Collision, Rampage, Dynamite, and ever since you merged with the CMLL, obviously you still see superstars go over there as well. And then you have New Japan Professional Wrestling, and you have Ring of Honor. So a lot of doors are open. I feel like with that much leniency, you kind of have a little bit of a, more of a wiggle room, you know what I mean, to kind of float your superstars around, from time to time. But overall, I think he's doing a great job. I think he's doing a damn good job. I know there's a lot of haters out there in the wrestling, kind of media landscape, like, Eric Bischoff. I feel like Eric Bischoff gets more or less upset because, not TNA. AEW often gets compared to WCW because, like, of Turner Broadcast. You know what I mean? And it's a natural human response to kind of think that way. but obviously it's not. And Eric Bischoff just gets so pissed off, or I think maybe Vince Russo as well. But I think he's not. He's Tony Khan isn't doing bad. He's not doing all that bad. So what if he takes care of his superstars and he gives people a big contract? WWE looks at kind of seeing that landscape, kind of like what you see with the NFL. When you have one major top wide receiver like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Justin Fields, not Justin Fields, Justin Jefferson get paid massive dollars, then you're going to see a holdout, and you're going to see you know what I mean? Like, some people deserve to get paid after what they do. You know what I mean? So I definitely think Tony Khan is I think he's pretty great. Tony Khan claims to be a sports historian. Obviously, he's part of the Jacksonville Jaguars with his father. Backstage rumors of AEW possibly signing a television deal with Fox is possible, in addition to Warner Brothers Discovery. Tony Khan recently trademarked the name AEW Shockwave. Could this possibly be a show that that could be held on Fox? I think it is. It could be a possibility. I believe so. I believe 1,010%. Especially moving with the college football and the NFL. I know once when WWE was made a deal with Fox, they were kind of like, look, we need Fridays, this specific time slot. We're not going to accept anything different. Like they had their terms. There was no leniency or wiggle room there. Tony Khan is lenient. Tony Khan is very lenient. I can imagine, AEW Shockwave taking place after, college football, maybe airing around maybe 10 o'clock. And that could possibly be the possibility. Or maybe you have, Collision or Rampage moving on to, later at night. It's a possibility. It's definitely a possibility. You could have a lot of, maybe they find a way into that time slot on Sundays after Fox airs its but then again, you do have the Animation of Domination there as well. And maybe they might kind of find a spot in between that. But I know it seems like a reach. I know at this point, especially with with Warner Brothers Discovery, the deal, Tony Khan continues to play coy, and he still claims, that they haven't put, pen to paper yet, exactly, signing the deal. But, he's wearing HBO Max hats and just, kind of fluttering a little bit of, kind of flexing a little bit. Could they possibly be on Fox? I agree with it 1,010%. According to Fightful Select, AEW has been in talks with Fox. It's been reported that Fox loved the way the ad revenue came in from WWE Smackdown that it was bringing in on Friday nights, but the show itself was too expensive, and they would love to entice in a cheaper wrestling promotion. And I'm not saying that AEW is cheaper than WWE, but I feel like WWE is a long established brand. They're good. I don't think they're they don't really need to succumb to any other television channels. They're kind of hot stuff. You know what I mean? They can go to a company and be like, look, you guys want me, not the other way around. You know what I mean? So, let me know what you're going to offer me. And AEW, it's getting there. It's getting there. Obviously, only 5 years old, but still, one of the major wrestling promotions, which is very, very good. There's still a lot of free agents out there that could be signed by AEW that could absolutely change the landscape. Bobby Lashley being one of them. The Hurt Syndicate or the Hurt Business, whatever you like to call it, would be amazing on AEW. Would be, he'd automatically be a main heavyweight title contender. And I feel like that's something that WWE desperately needs right now. If Bobby Lashley, challenged Cody Rhodes, that match is a main event. That match is a main event. If LA Knight challenges Cody Rhodes, yeah, it's good, but it doesn't have that same pop. Not like for me, it's like Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, Bobby Lashley. That's, on Raw, Drew McIntyre's there, but I feel like he's more on the outside looking in. Same with CM Punk. I feel like he's kind of there as well. Gunther, maybe he is the champion, and it's not like he puts on bad matches. Maybe I'm not that, maybe I'm not that high on Gunther as a lot of you guys are, or a lot of wrestling, journalists. I think he's great. I do think he's great, but his tenure as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, I don't think it's been that great. I got to be honest, and if, once when Bobby Lashley steps foot in AEW, also if they find a way to sign Becky Lynch, when he signed Becky Lynch, that's a big deal. If they do, that would be awesome. I would guarantee that the AEW landscape would be positive. I would guarantee that a lot of WWE fans will, kind of keep their eye on AEW as opposed to either or. So if AEW winds up on Fox with Shockwave, I feel like it would be really good for the company. And like what I mentioned about Fox, when WWE was on, during NFL games, you'd have, on Fox Sports as well. There's a lot of, Fox, a lot of Fox Sports channels out there as well that, that could advertise your company. And I feel like that would be, I feel like that'd be great. I think that'd be great for Tony Khan. And I, ultimately feel like maybe that would have been a better, contract to kind of reach for instead of Warner Brothers Discovery. Although Warner Brothers Discovery is actually really good for Tony Khan, I'm not trying to dig on it, but with all the library that they have from Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, CMLL, and now with AEW, yeah, it can only make it better. Can only make it better. That's my opinion on it, and I feel like it's a possibility. Definitely. Right now, I'm kind of, jumping with like a 25%, 75%, maybe 35%, 65%. But as of right now, I don't really see, a deal like this kind of going through. Maybe until, maybe after AEW kind of, stays on the Warner Brothers Discovery for a little bit. But I don't know. It should be pretty interesting. If it happens, that would be a bombshell. That'd be big. All right, guys. So hey, do not go anywhere. We got my show rapidly running out of time. We got my boy Emmer with the GSMC Soccer Podcast starting in about 29 minutes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Something we do on Wednesday, every ending Wednesday episode, we talk about Wednesday's weekly wrestling news. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling on the GSMC Sports Network, so make sure to stay tuned. Every week, do it. It's pretty awesome. Talk about wrestling and just kind of reflect on what we talked about on this episode already. We talked about some WWE NXT review, gave you my AEW Dynamite preview. Also talked about the WWE Smackdown that aired after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, what it meant for, the world of wrestling, the world of sports, and just America in general. And then talked about AEW maybe going to Fox, having their show Shockwave, possibly could, like I said, I give it like a 35, 65% chance that, 65%, of course, no, but 35, it's possible. It's possible, especially if they love that ad revenue, which, who wouldn't? All right, but now we're going to talk about a fifth and final segment, something we do at the end of every Wednesday's show. We talk about my Wednesday's weekly wrestling news. So yeah, let's talk about some of the major breaking wrestling news headlines that are going around going around the world. All right, first we have Matt Riddle saying that he's going to return to WWE, and it's extremely likely. I maybe. Maybe, after, all the success he kind of had at the Triple Mania. So I think it could be a possibility, but I don't think WWE is going to do it. I know he's had a lot of backstage beef with a lot of superstars. He's kind of like an in-your-face kind of like a talent. Kind of reminds me of like a Ronda Rousey. But he was good. He was really good inside the ring. He put on great matches. He put, had good promos. He was the original. I think somewhere along, maybe if he goes to NXT, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe that would be, a huge, surprise. But right now, I'm not, I don't think Matt Riddle is really like a necessity right now for WWE. I feel like there's a lot of other younger superstars that they probably should promote. First and foremost, you have to establish Solo Sikoa as the tribal chief and have him winning some damn matches. You have to find out what's going to happen with this whole Jacob Fatu storyline. Austin Theory, Grayson Waller. We have John Cena's retirement. Where is he going to fit in all that? Where is he going to fit in, it could be a possibility. Obviously, I know that there's, working with the UFC again, because technically TKO Holdings, I think I did read a rumor that, he did kind of, leave on bad terms. He was kind of too mouthy, especially to higher ups. So, if he thinks that's extremely likely, good for him. But I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see it, the original, bro. I'm sorry. All right, next, Roman Reigns is on the front and center of the USA Network's new poster for Monday Night Raw and WWE Smackdown, and it's not really a surprise. I feel like WWE's whole Raw and Smackdown thing heading into the new year, I don't think it's going to be that much polarizing, or I don't think that because you're going to see, I think there's going to be a lot of superstars on each brand. Definitely 1,010%. You've seen that with Randy Orton coming to Monday Night Raw to challenge Gunther. Roman Reigns is he's definitely one of the warmest stars, one of the hottest stars in WWE right now. Now you're gonna have The Rock coming back on that first episode of Netflix. I feel like stuff's gonna go down. I know of the USA Network of SmackDown. I feel like he's going to be there, and it'd be crazy to see him be on Solo Sikoa's side and help him beat Cody Rhodes for that WWE Championship. It would be pretty crazy, but you all understand why Roman Reigns is on the cover. He's the future of WWE. He's the future. He's the biggest star they have right now. Of course, you have John Cena coming back and The Rock, but this is his show. This is his show. Cody Rhodes came back. He came from AEW, but no, it's not the same. It's not the same. Overall, this show has been revolving around Roman Reigns since he left the Shield. And it's crazy, but to be honest, he's talented, and he's gotten a hell of a lot better at cutting promos. He was good, really good as a heel. Let's try this babyface thing. Like I said, it's one of the most impressive babyface turns I have ever seen as a wrestling fan, because he literally really didn't have to do anything. He was gone off of TV after losing, and everybody hated him. And now you have fans on Friday Night SmackDown asking where Roman is, and it's just magical storytelling. Definitely something that WWE did very well. All right, next to Hurt Business is in talks with AEW after their WWE departure. Obviously, I feel like Tony Khan has approached all of these guys. Right now, I'm pretty sure if they haven't came to an agreement already, pretty sure it's crossing the T's or dotting the I's. But, Bobby Lashley was rumored to be, taking up a boxing career. How serious that's going to take, I'm not too sure. I know he did try MMA and UFC for a little bit, like Dave Bautista and, CM Punk did, but, didn't really come into fruition. No success there. Shelton Benjamin, I feel like, has been waiting for kind of something like this to happen, because he's a star. And I feel like even though he is a little bit up there, I feel like he's getting a little older. That's true. But he can still wrestle the hell out of a ring. And he can still, cut a pretty good promo. I know that Shelton Benjamin could definitely take AEW to new heights. And Bobby Lashley, the MVP, the team of the Hurt Syndicate, would definitely send AEW through the roof. Definitely give them, I would say, at least maybe 100,000 to 250,000 more viewers. That's how confident I would be. People that would follow Bobby Lashley. And I feel like AEW is, 1 or 2 stars away. They signed Will Ospreay, they signed Kazuchika Okada, they signed Mercedes Moné, they signed Ricochet. I feel like there were two or three more big signing away from changing the landscape of professional wrestling. You know what I mean? Maybe actually, getting to the million viewers again, But overall, I feel like that would be pretty cool, beneficial for both the superstars involved, also the promotion. Next, Josh Alexander admits that he's considering leaving TNA wrestling. I don't blame him. I think I talked about this before, how mid-match he was supposed to win at Slammiversary in that six-way elimination match. And obviously this is hasn't really been confirmed, but rumors, reports say that he was supposed to win, didn't happen. They decided to go a different route. Now you see him fight Nick Nemeth. They had a great match, an Iron Man match at their last pay-per-view. And it's I don't know, it's kind of crazy. I feel bad for the guy. I can imagine his frustrations, especially if you were kind of like promised to be given the keys and then, all of a sudden daddy takes the car away. And it's like, no, you know what? No, 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 no. Like, you know what would be better? I don't think this is the right idea. You know what I mean? Like that would get a little annoying. That would get a little annoying, 1,010%. So Josh Alexander thinking about leaving TNA. Next, we have Cody Rhodes' WWE Championship reign is criticized for being underwhelming. Obviously, listen to the Busted Open podcast with my man, Bully Ray. Cody Rhodes has, they claim that he hasn't really faced the main heel. I agree. I do agree. And after he did defeat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, his story began. And as of right now, like I kind of mentioned before with Bobby Lashley leaving, which was a huge mistake, nobody really poses the same threat like Roman, like The Rock would, or like Brock Lesnar would, or Seth Rollins. I feel like but you just need someone big, somebody bad, a heel that just seems nasty to the opposite. Like I know that's what they're trying to do with Solo Sikoa. I feel like this push for Solo Sikoa is failing faster than their early push of Roman Reigns, forcing them down the WWE Universe's throat. I don't think Solo Sikoa is ready to kind of take on this title of being Tribal Chief. But right now, I feel like Cody Rhodes, all the pressure is kind of on him. You know what I mean? Roman takes a break. Drew McIntyre gets hurt. CM Punk gets hurt. It's nothing. Seth Rollins, it's crazy. It sucks. Brock Lesnar out of WWE. The whole allegations with the Janelle Grant case. He's been cleared, and he's set to come back to WWE. But once when everything kind of blows over, and I don't blame Brock for that. But overall, I don't really blame Cody as well. You know what I mean? I feel like right now, kind of ushering this new age between Netflix and between SmackDown going to the USA Network. Some things are obviously going to have to change. Obviously, Monday Night Raw going to a 2-hour show. Something's got to give. Something's got to happen. And I feel like it's right there. I feel like it's right there. All right, Kiana James was recently pulled off of the WWE active roster. No one knew why until today. Seems like she suffered a leg injury. She's going to be out for about 6 months. But she was drafted to WWE Monday Night Raw. Next, we have SmackDown's final episode on Fox was worse than the debut. 1.8 million compared to a whopping 3.9 million. Obviously, you had the game in Brazil between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. So, going up against the NFLs, you're always going to lose. You're never going to get the dub in terms of that. Monday Night Raw, they kind of saw a decrease in viewership, which was expected 1,010%. But, and now with this TKO emerging, how TKO, Dana White wants WWE to start having PLEs on Sundays so they don't, conflict with the UFC fight nights and stuff like that, which I can get why that would be a good decision. But in terms of WWE, I don't think that's such a good idea, man. Going up against Sunday Night Football, and Sunday Night Football's on Peacock. I feel like that would be kind of like a lose-lose. You're like, all right, so now we're against these, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot there. So I don't know. It should be interesting to kind of find out what happens more next, more or less. But yeah. WWE breaks the promise to Netflix. Netflix was promised to have The Rock and Roman Reigns to appear on Monday Night Raw regularly. Instead, they're going to get John Cena. And I kind of mentioned this before early in the show. I think if I'm a huge executive on Netflix, part of this deal, and I know how much revenue The Rock would have brought in and Roman Reigns. I know they said after WrestleMania, after April, they're probably going to immediately jump ship to Monday Night Raw, which is expected. But I would be kind of I'd be kind of annoyed. I'd be kind of, what, you did promise us the two best superstars you have. Cody Rhodes is going to stay on SmackDown. That's cool. But Roman Reigns, like I said, he's the hottest superstar in WWE, and The Rock is definitely one of the most familiar faces in WWE. And now you're just going to get John Cena in his retirement tour. The last match he won was against last match he fought was against Solo Sikoa, and he lost. Doesn't really quite compute. Doesn't really quite make sense. But I don't know. Maybe Netflix is cool with it. I know if I was if I was investing in my television streaming services, I wouldn't really be. But yeah. Anyways, lastly, we have Randy Orton's historic WWE contract, first ever to surpass 100 million throughout his career earnings. So, definitely congratulations to the Viper getting paid your worth. He's getting paid. He will be wrestling throughout 2029. That's when he turns. I think that's when he turns 39. I think that's what they said. No, he's way older than that. He has to be. That's crazy if he's only 6 years older than me. That'd be crazy. Anyways, definitely, definitely congratulations to Randy Orton for this monumental contract. All right, guys. So, hey, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Remember to Superman punch that, like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show on Twitter /X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, hello real quick to my man, Logan James. If I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, remember we have other shows. We have the GSMC Basketball Podcast with my boy Nelson, GSMC College Football Podcast with Tommy. College football's heating up on Saturdays. We also have 2 NFL podcasts, the Chip Shot Football Podcast with my boy Manny. We also got the GSMC Football Podcast with Kenneth. We also have for fantasy sports. Fantasies, I love playing fantasy. Absolutely love it. A lot of people do love it. Kind of takes you away from, the real world for a little bit. You start looking at these scores and what these players are doing, and it makes football a lot more fun to watch. I got to be honest. I've always loved football, first and foremost. We got my man, Chris Shepard, with your stardoms, your sit-ems. Who should you trade for the waiver wire? Who should you pick up on the waiver wire? Excuse me. Find out who to put in your flex. Find out, basically all your fantasy football know-how. We got the GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast with my boy, Chris Shepard. So we also got my boy, Emran's podcast coming up. Soccer, if you're a huge soccer fan, stay tuned for that. So, we also got, Revolving Sports. We got this GSMC Sports with Jeremy. We got Sports by GSMC we got GSMC Sports with TJ and Sports by GSMC with Jeremy. I always get those confused, kind of, back and forth. But like I said, that's it for me today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. One last time, want to, give my condolences and, my support, and definitely to all the people who suffered from 9/11. Like I said, 13 years ago. Crazy time on this exact date. So, thoughts and prayers, 1,010%. My support, my prayers are always with you guys. Stay beautiful. And of course, I love you.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to